All right, what's up? What's up? Okay, so let's talk about how I ditched general VA work and hit 15K a month in just 90 days. Um, and the first thing I want to talk about essentially is how my business was structured when I did do general VA work. And by general VA work, I mean admin tasks, social media, email, bookkeeping, like organizing files, things like that. Very simple things, right? None of them are revenue generating tasks. Anyway, so the way I had my business structured when I was doing those tasks is essentially any client that I brought on, um, whatever work, it's kind of twofold, but whatever work I did for them that week, the following week I would invoice for that exact amount of hours, and then they would pay the invoice. There was a few people that ended up not paying, but that's a side note. And then the other way is a debit card system, and that's essentially they purchase a set amount of hours from me, and they get to use it at their leisure within a year, right? So those are the two structured ways that I had the business set up, and as you can probably think, like right off the bat, it was super easy to sell myself and get clients for those general admin tasks because it was by the hour and it was as needed. So they made a decision on how much they wanted to spend. There was no um, there was no like set amount every month or retainer or anything like that. And that was all fine. The issue was that a lot of times, well, for one, you're very limited in what you can do because everybody will come to you at once with their problems, and then there's times when there's absolutely nothing happening. Um, and I did also, so then from that, I switched to, and let me backtrack really quickly. So basically, these were really, really simple admin tasks. Like, I was not really in someone's business. It was just kind of like, let me reach out to Fabienne for this task that I really don't want to do. And let me mute that. Okay. Um, okay. And essentially, yeah, so it was all coming at once or nothing at all. And then I went from that to doing retainer based. And I noticed a significant drop in those clients that wanted to come over to retainer because they didn't want consistent work. Whenever I was doing retainer based, I very much noticed that the range I could ask for was somewhere between 1 and 3K per client. And um, and that's still for the general VA tasks. And then from there, what I did is I wanted to earn more per client, and it was still very much they would reach out to me, even though it was retainer. They would reach out to me whenever they had a problem or needed something done that they didn't want to do themselves, as far as general VA task goes. And then from there, during all of that, I spent a lot of time noticing that clients didn't know how to properly use their systems, and clients didn't know what system was right for their business. They would pay for like 50 different versions of email marketing platforms and not really use any of them to their full extent. They would have just like all of their things spread out all over the place, even though they could just put it into one. And I just started noticing these things as I was working with these people, and I wasn't a I wasn't really viewed as a partner to them. I was really truly viewed as a VA, right? And so what I ended up doing as I noticed this is I started learning these systems. And this was over the course of like a long time for me, just because I didn't really know what direction I was going to go, right? And that's what I'm here to teach you guys to make it quicker. But I started learning these systems, learning CRMs, learning automations, learning workflows, learning SOPs, all of that good stuff, so that I could specialize in that and set myself apart from the general VA work. And then what I ended up doing is I rebranded my entire business to be, and I kind of want to pull this up so you guys can see, to be more of a systems partner for them. Let me see if I can pull up the webpage. Okay, so I just want to walk through the website here. And essentially I rebranded into a systems partner, someone that I was still a virtual assistant, right? Still part-time, still virtual, all of that. But it was very systems specialized and systems focused. And so what I ended up doing is essentially offering people, so that I wouldn't have to go into their business and fix things, I would essentially offer like setup packages. And I rebranded my entire business to feature essentially, if you read this, like streamline your backend and get ongoing support without hiring in-house. And you could see clearly it says we combine systems, automations, high-level virtual support to help service-based founders, blah, 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 right? And the services offered are, there is still virtual support in there, but the main thing that I added is like a systems and infrastructure builds piece, which is what usually most of my clients at this point come through. And it's like a project first, and then it moves into a retainer. And that's the structure that, let me unshare the screen. Okay. And then get rid of this. Okay. That's the structure that will catapult your business upwards into the 15,000 and beyond range. Okay. Sorry, I'm just switching my screens back so I can see what I'm doing. 1 second. Okay. Um, and and I just want to point out that it does not have to be systems focused. You can choose to go into a niche that is, for example, law firms or financial firms or whatever you want to call them. You just have to pick a niche that is that will put you in a place that makes you a partner to them, that makes you invaluable to their business, and um, and once you become that, you're directly tied to their revenue. So businesses come to me to build their systems to make their business more efficient and running and automated, which all directly ties to their revenue, right? If they don't have any of that, they're losing money left and right. Leads go lost. Things are scattered all over the place. They just don't look professional to others, right? So it's extremely valuable when they work with me, and so I'm able, because of that, to charge like 5K plus per project. Like, just picture that. I just do 3 projects. I've reached my 15K a month, right? And that's a huge, huge increase from, or just up level and change from the 2 to 3, or like the hourly rate that I was able to charge before. And yeah, so my signature offerings has become the like things like CRM setup, client onboarding automations, SOPs, just putting the systems together from A to Z in their business. And so I work with a lot of small business owners because they're usually the ones that have that gap. But again, I don't want to say this is the only way, and that's what's so cool about being a virtual assistant is we all have different skill sets. I know, and I've worked in the past with VAs that decided to go from the general VA work and specialize in law firms, which is such a niche thing and not enough VAs do it. And then I've known others that are special or just are skilled in and have experience in history and like working with finance firms, which is, I want to say, like a skill in itself that I have no idea how it works. But anyways, so they went and worked with finance firms, which I don't think there's enough VAs for that yet either. And general VAs just aren't going to be as good at it because they don't understand the industry, right? You have to understand the industry and what you're going into. And a lot of times it comes from your background too. So dig in your background, right? We all have basic admin skills. We all have the ability to do admin tasks, social media, email, bookkeeping, the really simple things, right? But not every one of us has some kind of background skill like technology or laws or finance, or like there's so many others out there. Those are usually just the top 3 I can think of. Um, and and so dig into your history and the sector that you've worked in before this, and maybe there's something there. Okay. And yeah, that's all I got for today's video. I want to hear you guys' comments below. Let me know, what your history is, as far as work goes, and what you're thinking of niching down into. And I'm more than happy to give you guys some feedback on it.